Welcome to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Wade Wilson.
Don't forget to smash that like button and go and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends.
It's our faces.
Hey, what's up? Well, we're going to try it out. We're going to do a little recording and show us on here. And we're going to post this on YouTube, see how it does. But we're also going to record it on audio, post that also, see how which one works out.
Yeah. Sometimes people want to see our face. Sometimes they don't want to see our face.
But I don't want to, upset any of our listeners with our whining.
Whining?
Yeah, we had one that said, quit your whining and get to the subject matter.
What were we whining about?
So anyway, to that one, we'll see you next Tuesday. We'll get on with the story.
Rude. Wow. I did not know about that one.
Yeah, I laughed at it.
I'm going to have to go back and look. Well, here we are. I didn't think that we would do a case on this guy, but the people have spoken and I have listened. I'm nothing if not obedient, right?
Right.
Okay. Now we're going to do even 2 parts on it. So it gets even worse. And even you saw stuff on TikTok about it and was like, hey, what about this guy? But the stuff that you saw on TikTok was very wrong. Wrong information. There's wrong information everywhere.
Oh, yeah, no, it puts him out to be like this freaking, like he hugged the judge and did all this other stuff. And
saying his dad was a judge or something?
Saying his dad was a judge, and it was like his Wade Wilson's last moments with his father and everything else. Man,
okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
He's a killer.
He's a murderer. And we also had a special request from a very special listener to cover a little more on his younger years to show kind of how we got here. So we'll try to give a little more information on that too. Now, as you probably know, this is widely covered. Like we said, it's all over TikTok. It's all over everything. But there's a lot of he said, she said, a lot of different versions of events. So we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
Now, Wade Stephen Wilson was born May 20th of 1994, but he was named Anthony when his biological dad, Stephen Testaseca, was about 14 or 15. His girlfriend got pregnant. And she was about a year younger than him. So they were very young. And Wade was born. And then right after that, Stephen went to jail. So while he was in jail, he got papers. And that's how he learned that Wade's bio mom was actually setting him up for adoption with a couple from her parents' church. And this was Steve and Candace Wilson. And they've been described as good people, church people, super friendly. They were well off and had greyhounds and expensive cars, but they weren't materialistic. Now, Wade was a different story. He was materialistic. And it said he didn't appreciate any of the stuff that he had, and he took everything for granted.
Yeah, fucking kids.
That's what them kids be doing.
Yeah.
Ungrateful.
Till they have to move out and start paying for it themselves.
Right.
And they're like, I don't like being an adult.
Well, I don't think Wade liked being an adult either. Because he didn't really have a job or driver's license or car. You'll see.
Yeah.
Now, in middle school, it was reported that his group of friends spent their lunch period passing around drugs, and this is according to an anonymous person who dated one of Wade's friends at the time, saying they smoked weed in the woods before school when they were 14, and that Wade walked around school in a black hoodie with the hood up all the time. He didn't respect authority, which, shocker. He pushed the limits by trespassing and breaking into cars just for the fun of it, and allegedly he stole his parents' car once and took off for 3 days. He got kicked out of school for smoking weed in the bathroom and setting a roll of toilet paper on fire. So he's that kid. And apparently he started acting out when he found out he was adopted. Now in 2012, he was arrested in Leon County for burglary, assault, and gun charges. In November of 2013, he was sentenced to prison for burglary and grand theft. And he was released in September of 2014. So he didn't quite serve a year. In 2015, he was accused by a woman of sexually assaulting her in his SUV after a party, but due to lack of evidence, he was acquitted of the charges. In 2017, he was back in prison on firearm charges and released in July of 2018, so another less than a year. Now, you will hear him say that he's been in prison for 5 years, but I think he's confusing prison with jail, and that's a little different. Now, his biological dad, referred to as Papa Steve, said in an interview that he and Wade reconnected when Wade got older. And apparently he also talked to his bio mom, who, from everything I've heard, has had a long battle with addiction. Wade was always calling Papa Steve for money, but he wanted money to go down and run around with his bio mom And Steve gave him money for everything else, but he refused to give him money for that. And also in an interview, Papa Steve said that during one of those prison stays that he was in, Wade was checking in and owing people money. So he got jumped, and that's how his teeth got fucked up. So if you see him, he hardly smiles in front of the camera, but when he does, you can see that one of his teeth is like chipped. It's almost half gone or something. But he's saying that's what did it, is he got a little present from jail. And lots of people say that Wade doesn't do well with men. Like he cowers down to them and takes all his aggression out on women. He's like this big hatred towards women.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what he's in jail for, but
right.
I mean, he knows he ain't shit, and that's that's how most posers are anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. He talks big shit, but he can't back it up.
No.
We see that a lot.
And what's bad about it is like a lot of these freaking ladies out there are like, oh, he's so hot, and he killed 2 women.
Yes, you'd be amazed. What? Ugh. Now, later on in 2018, he was mentioned in a murder plot. Denise Williams was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit the murder of her husband. Apparently, her and her lover were trying to make it look like a boating accident. Her lover was an old cellmate of Wade's, and he said Wade attempted to fabricate evidence and even offered to kill Denise. Now, this may be a good time to mention that Wade is also quite the storyteller. Another one of his stories was that he was in a gang in prison called the Unforgiven, where he was an enforcer. And he also told people that he was a hitman. He even got some tattoos for the gang, but the gang wasn't too happy about it because first, he wasn't part of their crew. Like, you can't just go around getting tattoos to represent a gang that you're not even in. That's a huge no-no. And then also, apparently, when he was in jail one of those times, or prison, whichever one, he slept with another man while he was in there. And that was also a no-no for that gang. So even after he got out of jail, he got beat up. So he has a scar under one of his eyes because of that. And that information came from his ex-girlfriend, Kelly. She's been very vocal. So we'll be mentioning her throughout this. But in January of 2019, she said that Wade stole her phone and her laptop. And there was a no contact order still in place on February 28th of 2019 when she says Wade pushed her into the floorboard of her car, cut her clothes off with a knife, and she stayed there until he put her in the back of the car and sexually assaulted her, saying he choked her a couple of times, bit her face and her chin. You can actually see pictures of this online. He gagged her, tied a shirt around her face, and tied her hands and feet together with a used garbage bag. He drove to the keys, got out, handed her the keys to the car, and left with some woman. Now, she says she drove 100 miles an hour to get home, hoping to get pulled over. And she said that if she stopped at a gas station or something, then no one would believe her. So
she was probably in shock.
Oh, yeah.
She's freaking out and everything. She's just hoping
the cops to pull her over.
Yeah, to grab some kind of attention. But, I mean, she could have pulled over.
She could have pulled over. And that's what a lot of people have a lot of trouble with, is she didn't go to she drove to a whole nother town.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're in shock, you really don't think rationally. But she went to her mom, is what she did. She went to her mom and her are who called the police. Now, she did go to the hospital. She had a cut on her lip, bruising on her neck. So she had signs. They did a sexual assault kit and everything. But the cops still said that was hearsay.
Really?
Yeah, hearsay. She's sitting here telling you this just happened to me. And they're like, I don't think so. That sounds like hearsay to me. The detective on her case allegedly told her, "You were into that kind of thing, so we can't really do anything about it."
Wow. Again, with the cops just being outstanding detectives.
Yes. And I mentioned all of that because that is why Kelly is still in the story so prominently, because she has come out very vocally and said that if they had done something then, these women probably would still be alive.
You think?
Yeah. But they said they had no probable cause and there were no witnesses to the alleged crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in September of 2019, he did plead guilty to pawning that stolen stuff. So the laptop and the cell phone that he stole from her, he did plead guilty for pawning that. He said, okay, I did that. I got that. And so he got credit for time served and probation. Yeah, good trade. Now, there was allegedly another woman who was sexually assaulted by him, but did not press charges. And he started dating a woman named Mila. So her name is Melissa. But in court and everywhere else, you'll hear her be called like Melissa, just because that's how our brain works. But we're going to call her Mila because that's what she goes by. Now, she owned Mila's spa and drove a Hellcat. And she let Wade sleep at the spa and she would sleep there with him. It was about 15 days into their relationship when on June 30th of 2019, she called the cops saying that in the last 2 weeks, Wade had beat her on multiple occasions until she lost consciousness. But this time, he got mad about some text messages on her phone and he started in. She tried to run and he grabbed her skirt, ripping it off of her. So she's literally running in only a shirt. But he caught up with her and he choked her until she was unconscious. And then he tied her hands behind her back and put her in the car. He took her to a random boat and sexually assaulted her to teach her a lesson. Then he took her back to the car and told her that the pain was over.
Well, I bet he just thinks he's just a real badass whenever it comes to beating on women.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's where he has the power, you know?
Good Lord.
Mm-hmm. He's a real stand-up guy.
He's
Keep
just
calling
a
him
real
ladies.
piece of shit.
Keep calling him ladies.
Yeah,
Keep
these
writing.
ladies are just like, oh, he's the hottest thing ever. Well, he's not.
Mm. You know those little things you see on Facebook and stuff all the time that's like, she's an 8, but she cooks my favorite dinner. She's a 10. That makes her a 10. This is like him.
Yeah.
Okay. No. So he might be an 8 to some women, but he kills women. So that makes him a 0.
Exactly.
Get with it.
Yeah, get your head out your ass.
Get your head out of your ass. The cops do note in their report that they did see that Mila had 2 black eyes, bruises on her, and a place where he had bit her. So somebody has a little habit. On July 1st, he was arrested. Now keep in mind as you listen to the rest of this that Mila caught a lot of shit for some people for what happens later in the case, but she also got a lot of love and compassion. And you'll see why both sides feel the way that they do. But Wade, as we know, loves a jailhouse phone call. So he managed to talk Mila into coming and picking him up when he eventually got out of jail. She wanted to make it very clear that she did not bail him out. She has said that numerous times. But she did go pick him up. And he was back in her life. Because he's one of those love bombers. So when he does something and you get mad at him, he love until you take him back. And then he fucks up again. Now it was about 5 days later, that Wade and Mila were at the bar, Boot Alive, in Fort Myers. Mila doesn't carry a purse, so when they go out, Wade carries her stuff in his pocket, like her car keys. Now, she didn't have to worry about him taking off in it because it was a stick shift.
Why am I not surprised he can't drive a stick shift?
I knew you'd get that. Because he can't.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people out there that can't.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Now, he did make some friends at the bar, Jason, Kristine, and Samantha, and they decided to go back to Jason's house. Now, Mila didn't want to go, and so that started an argument. She goes outside in time to see her Hellcat pulling out of the parking lot. Luckily, our friend Amy came out and took Mila back to her place where Mila slept on the couch. Now, Jason is the one who drove the group to his house where he still lives with his mom. Mom wasn't too happy that he brought strangers into the house, so he and Samantha went out back and chilled on the trampoline while Wade and Kristine had sex on Jason's bed. And they say that the two came in and out of the house a few times doing their thing. And we know that they were also all doing cocaine. They got loud, so Mom said they had to go, and Wade, Kristine, and Samantha left. Kind of. Well, because Wade wasn't the only one that couldn't drive a stick.
God.
So after hearing the engine revving up outside, Jason goes out to see the Hellcat in the street. And that was about as far as Wade could get it. So Jason moved the car down the street, and the girls and Wade, called an Uber to take him to Kristine's duplex. It was around 6 a.m. that Samantha left. She had to work that day and had to get her son up to go to school before she went to work. So, hi.
Yeah, but I mean, so now...
He's thinking hard, I could smell it.
So now Kristen's alone with Wade?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so now it's just the two of them at Kristine's duplex.
Oh, Kristine.
Did I say Kristen?
No, I said Kristen.
Oh, no, it's Kristine. Yeah.
Okay, that was my fault.
It's all good. But Samantha said that she didn't get any weird vibes from him, and she didn't feel like Samantha felt uncomfortable around, or Kristine felt uncomfortable or anything around him. So she went ahead and left. She didn't think it was that big of a deal. And that just shows how good Wade is at manipulating people.
I gotcha. Huh. And now let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. If you live in an apartment, it can be murder to get laundry done. There is a better way, and it will keep you out of prison.
Since 2008, My Laundry Solutions has been your #1 choice for washer and dryer rentals.
Ask about My Laundry Solutions in your apartment leasing office or schedule online at mylaundrysolutions.com.
They are available in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Springfield and Joplin, Missouri, Little Rock, Arkansas, Sherman, Dallas, Houston, and Lubbock, Texas. So many places. No credit check, free service. Your account is available online, and they professionally install. Check out mylaundrysolutions.com or call 800-535-4411 today.
It would be criminal not to give them a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check out My Laundry Solutions. And if you guys want to take time or whatever, and you don't have to, but if you want to donate, or not donate, what is it? Contribute to our podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
You can't do it with our cash tag for some stupid ass reason. That cash app is.
They're looking into it.
They're looking into it, but if you've ever dealt with Cash App, they take their time.
Yeah, it's going to be a year.
So if you want to donate, God, I keep saying donate. I mean,
it's donations.
Contribute. Too. If you want to contribute, and you don't have to, but you have to do it through our email. You go to Cash App and you type in our email. It's
D&A, so spell out and D&A .truecrime@gmail.com.
Yeah. Like I said, you don't have to, but if you want to, we appreciate it.
And for those of you who have, much appreciated.
Yep. Yeah. For the people who have, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Kristine, it's where we left off. He was alone with Kristine. She grew up in Illinois and moved with a friend to Cape Coral, where she was a waitress. She was about 35 years old, loved her cat, was the godmother to her cousin Samantha's child. She loved to dress up and therefore loved Halloween, which, same. She had a quick wit, made everyone around her feel safe and understood, and she sounds like a just all-around good person. Unfortunately, we now know that after Samantha left that morning, that Wade climbed on top of Kristine while she was asleep and strangled her. She did show signs in her autopsy that she had woken up at some point and fought back, so good for her. And he wrapped her body in a blanket and planned to take her somewhere to dump the body, but he couldn't lift her. So he took her phone and her black Nissan Versa and left. Now, he had been texting and calling Mila starting sometime around 6 or so, but she was asleep. So that had to be right after Samantha left the duplex to go to work. And it had been from Kristine's phone that he was calling and texting, because we know that Wade didn't have a phone. Remember, you don't have a phone, a car, a job, you don't know that. Anyway.
Yeah, bum.
By the time Mila answered the phone, it was more like 8 a.m. She told him to bring her car and meet her at the spa. That poor transmission. When Amy drove her there, they didn't see the Hellcat. The Versa came up, and Mila walked to the driver's side to talk to Wade, and Amy says he immediately tried to grab her and pull her into the car. He threatened to kill Amy if she tried to intervene. Well, he ripped Mila's dress off because she went plank style, so she mimicked it in court, where she put her arms up over her head and just turned into a big plank. So he wasn't able to get a really good hold on her, and he couldn't get her. She's only like 5'2", and you'll hear everywhere that he's 6'6". He's not, he's 6'4", but that's still pretty damn tall. Now, Mila's spa is on the second floor, so he drug her up the stairs. This is outside, like there's people outside. This is a business parking lot. He drags her up to the second floor, held her against the wall by her throat, and punched her in the nose. And Amy said it exploded with blood. Like, that's how bad it was. And I guess that startled him. So he just sat down. But then he got up and ran. And there were a lot of people around. So the cops had already been called.
So you take off on foot, or do you take off in the car?
So he took off in the car. Now
in the Hellcat?
No, he can't drive that Hellcat.
I'm just saying.
He had left it in gear, so the Versa had actually rolled into another car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So by the time the cops got there, he was gone. He just got in it and took off. Now, while driving, he saw a woman walking down the street. This was 43-year-old Diane Ruiz. Diane was engaged with 2 sons. It said that she always had everyone's back. She had a magnifying personality and a really loud laugh you could hear from a mile away. I know those laughs. I'd know it. She had worked at the Moose Lodge for 5 years and never missed a shift. She was actually on her way to her 10 a.m. shift when Wade pulled up in that Versa asking for directions to a school. She told him how to get there, but he said he had just been that way and he didn't see it. So she got in the car. Now, this is his story. Keep it in mind. She's not here to tell her version of things. So we don't know if that's how he actually got her in the car or not. Either way, she did get in. He pulled up at the school and she tried to get out of the car, but he started choking her. He drove around until he found somewhere to leave her. And when he pulled her out of the car, he realized that she was still alive. So he ran over her body at least 10 times until she, quote, looked like spaghetti. It was around 3 p.m. that afternoon, so this is October 7th of 2019, that a cop approached the Versa in the Joe's Crab Shack parking lot. They'd been looking for him for the assault on Mila. We find out later that Mila had told him to meet her there and then told the cops because he asked her in a recorded phone call, did you tell them? And she's like, yep. They didn't know about Kristine yet. Samantha had been calling her, but since they had a very late night, it was assumed that she was just sleeping it off. And even though Diane had been reported as missing when she didn't show up for work, they hadn't linked him to her disappearance yet either. The cop has a little conversation with Wade as Wade sits in the car, and he said he was waiting for his girlfriend. The cop says he's waiting for his partner. So Wade just starts the car and drives off. And the cop said he didn't chase him because the battery charge on Mila is only a misdemeanor. So he does try to follow him, but he ends up following the wrong car.
Yeah, but I mean, when people start running, that, there's usually a reason.
There's a reason they're running, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not like, oh, I can't get this seatbelt ticket.
Yeah.
It's usually something big. They either have something in the car they don't want you getting or finding, or they've done something and they're trying to get away. Now, the cop has been criticized a lot for how that went down because even if it was only domestic battery, he still attacked a woman in broad daylight in a public place with lots of people around. So he's obviously being a menace to society. So a lot more shit could have happened after he took off from that cop. Wade called Papa Steve a couple of times that day. Remember, he's a pathological liar, so Steve was used to wading through his bullshit. Wade told him at first that he had done something that he couldn't take back. Now, Steve is at work, so he made sure that Wade was safe and told him to call him back around dinner time. On his way home from work, Papa Steve got another phone call, but this time it was a detective. And they said that when he heard back from Wade to let them know. It was in a phone call that was around 10 o'clock that night that Wade called. And I believe that this phone call was made from Diane's phone because it came from a different number. And we know he took both of their phones. So he told Steve the details of what he did. And Steve had the phone on speakerphone so that his wife could hear too. And this is how we got some of the details. He says that Wade had no remorse, that he was actually excited telling him about killing these two women. And as they were talking, Steve's wife was texting the detective. So Papa Steve asked him where he is so that he can send an Uber to come and pick him up. And that Uber was the U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, kind of figured that was going to happen.
Yeah. Wade was picked up in a house. Luckily, the homeowners were out on a trip, but Wade had broke their window and drank all their White Claws.
Oh, my God.
All their White Claws and left them on the counter. Just trashy. Then he put on the man's clothes. So when he's actually arrested, you can see like the footage and he's got like on a pink button-up little shirt, collared shirt. But so they did. They arrested him for assaulting Mila. And they had found Kristine's body and they knew that Diane was missing, but Wade wouldn't tell her where the body was. And Wade was telling them that he left Kristine alive and well. So he didn't have nothing to do with that either. And that they were like, well, how'd you get her phone and her car? And he's like, oh, she let me borrow them.
Seriously?
Yeah. She let him borrow them.
That before or after he ran her over?
No, this was Kristine, the first woman.
Oh.
They're like, how'd you get her car and her phone then? You called.
So which one did he run over?
Diane. See, they haven't found her body yet.
Oh, really?
I mean, in our story.
Oh.
See, he obviously, when we say he don't know these, I mean, he don't know these.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But no, so this is Kristine. So they know he had Kristine's car. They know he had Kristine's phone. He's like, oh, she let me borrow him when I left because I'm a winner. But they still need to find Diane. So they allow Papa Steve to make a special visit with Wade while he's in his little turtle suit. So the turtle suit is the green suit that they put you in, like strip all your clothes down when they think you're going to hurt yourself. They take all your clothes off and then you're naked with just this giant green, looks like a gym mat or something that you're wearing to keep you from hurting yourself. And he tells them, or he tells Wade that he's going to stand by him and he's going to help wherever he can. So he's also talking about seeing Diane's sons on the news, like crying and begging for their mom to come home. So that was really sad to hear. Wade's like, okay, I'll tell him. I'll take him right now. I'll take him tonight. And so Steve sets the phone down and he goes to find somebody. He's like, don't move. And he goes to find somebody. Hey, he's going to tell. He's going to let us, he's going to take you to the body. Wade is behind him at the door, banging on the door, yelling at the jailers. Hey, have you watched the news? Did you see those 2 women on the news? Because that's how remorseful he is. He's such a douche. Anyways, when they come to talk to Wade on the 10th, he tries to tell them that he will tell them where the body is, but he needs a burger and fries on the way. They tell him that they have to get approval for things like that. So they read him his rights and he starts talking. He says he gave her a ride and dropped her off. Now this is Diane. He gave her a ride, dropped her off, and then he went to see a guy that he knew. So there is surveillance of him with no shirt, no shoes, and he went into the guy's business. Well, the guy, he's like, oh, hang on just a second. He goes in the back and calls the cops. So when Wade sees a cop car pull into the parking lot, he takes off across the street. He says he chilled by some palm fronds, saying he watched the cops go back and forth for about 8 hours, took a nap, and then drove around until he found the house where the marshals found him. I have a big problem with the timeline there. So if you're following that, he didn't have 8 hours or time to take a nap or none of that.
No.
He said that he picked Diane up, and when they got to the school, she seemed scared. No shit. He tells them, I'm a fucking lion and you're the prey. That's what he was thinking. He even told the cops that he could take either one of them out because he was well trained. But he choked her there in the school parking lot. They asked him if he raped her, and Wade said no, but they did have consensual sex. Okay. When? He says it was on the way to the school. He pulled off into a side street and took her, they did the thing, and then he took her to the school. And he says that they were supposed to have been doing cocaine the night before, remember? But he believes that it was really bath salts or flakka. Flakka.
I thought that was just in the movie Baywatch.
No, it's a real thing.
Oh, God.
But that's why he said he did it. Now it's the drugs.
So blame the drugs.
Blame the drugs. Why not? Everything else failed. Yeah. He's definitely not going to blame himself. That would be ridiculous. This man admits to holding Kristine's phone up to her face after he killed her to unlock it. He's that guy.
Yep.
He doesn't give a shit. He tells them that they will never find Diane's body without him. And he won't take them without getting a burger, fries, and now a McFlurry.
Good Lord.
He's never going to see the Golden Arches again. Maybe it's because you're a McAsshole.
Yeah.
But the cop asks, you really think you deserve that? And Wade said, fair enough. They keep asking him questions about the location, and he keeps holding out. He really wants that burger. But they eventually let him know that they really don't need him. They've already found her. He doesn't believe them because he's a good hider. But they say it was now 9 o'clock in the evening, and they had actually found her at 1:30. So.
Really?
Yeah. And they do this. This is common. If they can get the killer to tell them details like the location and stuff, then that's one more thing to tie them to the crime, Just one more thing that says he really did have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Because people do false confess for various reasons.
Oh, yeah. Trying to get that fame. Well,
it's fame, better food, better conditions in prison. They'll confess for just about anything. Oh. Wade he was trying to confess for a cheeseburger. So there you go.
Yeah, true.
And we know this happened in 2019, but he didn't go on trial until this year. So 2024. And some stuff has happened in the meantime. But I think that this is where we're going to stop for this one.
Yep.
And we'll cover the rest in part 2. So you'll have to be on the lookout for that for Friday. And we'll tell what happened more between then and now. There's a lot of dumb stuff. But we wanted to try out the video.
Yeah. So don't miss out on Fridays.
Yeah.
We'll probably do a video for it too. But
we'll see how this one
We're going to see how this worked out. But yeah, make sure you guys stay tuned and tell your friends.
Bye.